This is what happened.
You're lighting this league on fire over a defense?
Mason, you know what the fuck you're talking about.
Who put the communists in charge?
I have never seen somebody crash out so hard.
But I didn't do shit, dude. I didn't do anything but laugh.
Okay, I didn't even know this was happening. I was just looking at like the opponents that I could be facing in week 16 and like the playoff scenarios, and I had to scroll. And I had to scroll really far down the standings to find Danny, who is now 4-9, at risk of being the worst team in the league after this, has the fewest points in the league. We already knew all those things. We knew he stunk at fantasy. He stunk in this league. He couldn't score points. But he's lost 7 in a row. 7 losses in a row. Nobody else in this league. This league is all pretty competitive, right? There's a bunch of teams. There's still like 8 teams live for playoff spots. Danny, nobody has lost more than 3 in a row. Danny is at 7 losses in a row. And if you go back to where those 7 losses started, it started right after he traded away half of his team to acquire Puka Nacua, who then he traded away for like dusty Justin Jefferson, right? Since that time, when he made that trade for Puka, and I said, yeah, Danny just torpedoed his season. And I said he wasn't going to win another game. He'd probably end up in the toilet bowl and would lose this league. Well, 7 losses in a row since then. Ding, ding, ding. Hasn't won another game. As of right now, he's already clinched his spot in the toilet bowl. It's just a matter of will he be bad enough that he gets a bye into the second round of the toilet bowl finals. Yeah, this is pretty bad. I mean, I'm batting 100 in this league. It doesn't happen every single year. It didn't happen last year. It probably won't happen next year. But as of right now, I mean, Christian McCaffrey over Saquon round 1. Jonathan Taylor over AJ Brown round 2. Trey McBride over T. Higgins round 3 in our draft. Saying that Danny wasn't going to win another game. I mean, everything I touch in this league is currently turning to gold. Now we just need to finish it off and get a championship. Pause.
I wasn't going to make a video because I'm currently actually in Detroit in the hotel, waiting to sleep tonight, going to watch the Cowboys game tomorrow. But then I see Sal just talking nonsense in the league. Like, yeah, Sal, you're 12-1. I'm 4-9. I've lost 7 games in a row. No shit. This hasn't been my year. But don't lie on my name. Don't say that I traded half my team for Puka Nacua, when quite literally, if you look back at the deal, I gave him Drake London and Jaden Daniels for Puka Nacua and Bam Knight. Is that giving half my team for Puka Nacua?
Did I hear Puka's name? Did I hear you guys talking about my guy? I'm 5-8, and I've never been more happy.
On top of that, you say, oh, I traded for dusty old Justin Jefferson. Like, Nick can pull back the clips. You said I took Nathan to the woodshed. You said that I won that deal by a landslide.
Nathan just gave up both of those guys. Again, borderline top 20 players rest of season. 2 of those guys for Puka Nacua is unreal. No other deal has been anywhere near as bad as this one.
Brother, get your facts straight. If you're going to speak on my name, at least speak the goddamn truth.
Oh my God, it's Danny. I didn't even know this guy was still in the league. I mean, he gave up making clips after like his 4th or 5th loss in a row. I don't even remember at this point. You get to see him like once a month cheering like this for a Dak Prescott touchdown. I had no clue the guy was in the league. It appears I struck a nerve by telling him his team stinks and by like getting the trade details wrong on the trade that I said he would never win after that, which he hasn't, which is like the real point here. But okay, you traded Drake London instead, which maybe would have been nice in week 9 when he had 40 points. But it appears I've struck a nerve. I'm just happy to have done that, to get Danny on camera, making clips, saying some actual words for all of you, the beautiful people. But Danny has abandoned you guys pretty much the past month of the season. And then the Justin Jefferson trade, I mean, there's footage out there on this channel of me being the only one to back Nathan up in that trade. I also didn't know when I made my clip about how bad Danny is at fantasy. I didn't know that he was in Detroit. Had I known that, I might not have made the clip. Just a dreadful place to be. But now I actually have something to root for in Week 14. On Thursday Night Football, I will be rooting as hard as I can for the Detroit Lions to take down Danny Ladd's Cowboys.
Sal, it isn't about striking a nerve because my team's 4-9. Like, yeah, I've lost 7 games in a row. Yeah, I'm in a bad spot in this league. Yeah, you're 12-1. Those are obvious, dude. We're not talking about the situation in the league. All I'm saying is, if you're going to talk about me, get your facts straight. I don't want lies told on my name, especially not from you. And Sal, maybe this was your point. Like you wanted, maybe some beef, maybe some storyline. Oh my God, let's rattle up Danny's nerves. Let's see what happens here. Let's see how he responds. I totally understand it. My issue is just lying. Like, you don't need to lie about it.
I'm at this point right now where I could potentially choose violence with a very agitated Danny who's had a brutal day, it appears, and I caught him at either the best or worst time, depending on the way you want to look at this. But I'll put down the sword for now because I think Danny might do some drastic things. I mean, to myself, to himself. I mean, the look in this guy's eyes in some of these last videos, it has me startled. I'm very far away from him in Texas, but I don't want to risk anything if I say what I want to say. Yeah, we're going to let Danny be. He's down bad. Long travel today, lost his credit card, lost 7 in a row. We can't say that too loud. He might get mad again. Please don't. We'll go to that. We won't lie on his name, speak on his name anymore. We can't push too much more because those eyes, he might not make it to that Cowboys-Lions game tomorrow if I say a couple more things right now.
Now, I don't know if there's a new Flock League rivalry blossoming between Danny and Sal at this point in time. I don't know if Sal really is just Danny's older brother secretly and is just poking the bear. It could be both. I don't really know. The only thing I care about is teaching Danny how to respond. This is what you do. Sal, you're the only one that supported me when I made that Bukin Yakua trade.
No other deal has been anywhere near as bad as this one.
You're the only one that supported me when I moved off Jordan Addison and just added him in that deal so that I could get, you know, Alec Pierce included.
Somehow he went up to poor Nathan, took advantage of this young boy, and said, why don't you throw in Jordan Addison and I'll add in Alec Pierce. It's almost a wash.
You've been by my side this entire time.
This deal is almost 2 times worse than any other deal in the Flock League for the person sending the players, and that would be Nathan.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, howdy, gang. A little birdie told me that Danny from Stock Exchange is not enjoying his time in the city of Detroit today. Danny, I'm just sending this video to uplift your spirits. And, you know, I care about you more as a friend than a competitor in this fantasy football league. So, you know, I just wanted to let you know that once you go ahead and you let go of the control of your life and you decide, yeah, there's actually beauty in the chaos, that's when you start to gain your smile back. So while you're sitting in bed tonight in that beautiful city of Detroit in that hotel, I hope when your head hits the pillow, that smile starts to come back. I hope this is what you need to turn things around.
Well. I was having to wait until it's extremely late. You can see it's dark outside to do all my work for the day so this freaking thing could come in, and here it is. Oh, dear God.
There is a ton at stake in week 13 for people that don't even realize it. And the reason is in the toilet bowl, the first week, if you are at the bottom of the league standings, you are going to have a bye. And the only way you can get out of the toilet bowl and avoid that last place Denny's punishment is if you win a game in the playoffs. So those teams that finish right outside the playoffs, maybe that's going to be somebody like Badake, somebody like Bush. What they're going to get is they're going to get to play in week 15 to potentially not have to do the last place punishment. But if you finish at the bottom of the standings, the teams like Zach, the teams like Danny, then ultimately you only get 2 weeks to potentially dodge that last place punishment. So it still very much does matter for every team in this league in the toilet bowl on if they win or if they lose this week. But going matchup by matchup, I'm going to be playing Nathan. For me, the only thing that matters is securing that bye, and I'm going to get it as long as I win or as long as I outscore Sammy by like 40 points. And Nathan, if he wins, he could potentially dodge the bad bye that you don't want to have for that first round toilet bowl matchup. Going over to the fan wagon versus Nick the Editor, the non-creators in this league like Nick the Editor don't have to do the last place punishment. So since he's already eliminated, honestly, it doesn't even matter if he wins or loses. But Sammy, if he does beat Nick and outscores me by about 30-40 points, he could actually end up with that round 1 bye on the winning side of the bracket.
Week 14 in the Flock League, and while the fan wagon did clinch our playoff spot in week 13, there is still plenty to play for. If we get a win, we secure ourselves the 3 seed. There is an outside chance if we outscore Mason by 63 points. Could happen. Crazier things have happened. And we win, Mason loses, we would get the bye. It's not impossible, ladies and gentlemen. It is not impossible. Follow your dreams, believe in them. That's what we're doing in week 14. But it's most likely If we get the win, we are the 3 seed.
Now, the matchup all eyes are on is going to be Thomas, the editor of the Flock Fantasy YouTube channel, who made it to the championship last season, is going to be playing the developers of flockfantasy.com. And why this matchup is so important is if Thomas wins, he is guaranteed the 6th playoff spot. It's a win and you're in situation for Thomas. On the flip side of this, the devs, if they win, they could potentially earn the 3rd seed. And with the 3rd seed, they're going to get to pick their matchup for round 1 of the playoffs. So both of these teams have a lot at stake, and 2 teams that are going to be rooting for the downfall of Thomas are going to be Badake and Corey. Because if they want to have any shot to secure the last playoff spot, Thomas would have to lose, they would have to win, and they would have to outscore Thomas by a considerable amount of points. Honestly, not that many. I think it's like 3 or 4.
So I am one of the 3 teams on the playoff bubble. My team is terrible, so I cannot rely on winning my matchup or scoring a lot of points. Amon-Ra St. Brown just got ruled in for this excellent matchup against the Cowboys. However, I am so worried that he's not going to play all the snaps or will be like some sort of decoy or something. But he has given my terrible team some hope. I have a waiver wire quarterback, waiver wire tight end, waiver wire flexes. My best player is my kicker. If Amon-Ra St. Brown actually performs tonight, maybe there's a chance for me.
Now, the meaningless matchup for playoff implications will be Danny versus Zachary Savage. If you're going to look at this, both of these teams are the worst 2 creators in this league this season, and more likely than not, they're going to have to deal with that week 15 bye, and the only shot that they have to avoid last place punishment is winning a game in week 16 or week 17.
Hey guys, checking in from Team Zach here. Week 14 of a really fun experience being a part of the Flock League this year. I wake up each and every day and I'm so excited to think about it and talk about it. Just a fun little check-in here. Currently sitting at 4-9. Prime candidate for a potential Denny's. 14 weeks of publicly humiliating myself. The spirits couldn't be any higher at this point. And the great news is Drake London isn't practicing again. I thought I'd have him back next week. That's fine. That's actually fine. I care about it. I care about his health personally. You know, I'm more concerned like Drake. Is your Neo okay? Oh, surprise, Woody Marks isn't practicing. Jane Daniels, nope, still not ready. The guy that you traded, the guy who was injured, you traded for. And no, he's not ready yet. Tetaro McMillan's on by. Things are going awesome here. I love this league. I love being a part of this league this year. Honestly, yeah, man, like for me, like thinking about Christmas and thinking about the things I'm grateful for this year and what an awesome year. Flock League right at the top of that list, number 1 for me. I'm facing Danny. You know, hey Danny, like let's go out there and have some fun, man. 2 of the best teams in the league, and let's see where the dust settles, and you know, we'll see each other in the toilet bowl playoffs. That's awesome, right? I mean, maybe I'll be at Denny's humiliating myself a little bit more. That's it for me checking in here in the beautiful Sydney, Australia. Looking forward to another week of seeing if my team can score over 100 points.
Corey versus Sal. Sal has everybody on bye this week. McCaffrey's on bye. Tyrone Tracy's on bye. So his team is beatable, to be honest, for Bush. Bush is not only going to have to win, but he's also going to need Thomas to lose for him to get into the playoffs.
All right, so week 14 is finally here, and it is do or die, man. It is do or die. I have no shot to get into the playoffs unless I win my matchup this week. And unfortunately, I'm going up against the Salamander. Now, the Salamander is without a lot of his venom here because we don't have Christian McCaffrey. We don't have Brock Purdy. We don't have Tyrone Tracy. They are all on bye. I would say, generally speaking, this is a much easier matchup against Sal than it normally would be, because if he had his, you know, dual horseman at running back, I would be looking at Superman. And instead, I'm looking at like maybe half of Clark Kent this week. We are, of course, rooting against Thomas. We need him to lose in order to get into the playoffs. We also don't want Badake going off for a big game. All we can do is focus on ourselves at this point in time. Sal's got a great team still, even without Christian McCaffrey. You got to worry about Jonathan Taylor. Hoping for a modest George Pickens game, a little 7 for 50 yards, no touchdowns, kind of like 12-point performance. We can manage that. Good luck to Sal. He doesn't really have to play for anything here. So he's won like 11 straight games. Like he hasn't lost since like week 3. So he's kind of due for a loss. And I'm hoping that that dew splashes on to me here, and I'm able to get a win.
Okay, I'm taking on Bush in week 14, and let me paint you the picture of a lot of drama that's happening right now. I'm not playing for anything. I'm basically locked into the 1 seed, but Bush is playing for a playoff spot. He has to beat me, and he has a good chance to, more on that in a second, and then he needs some help from the devs to beat Thomas. But as of this recording, the devs currently have in their lineup all of their guys on bye. They're currently benching DeAndre Swift, Jahmyr Gibbs, AJ Brown, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Travis Kelce. So they're currently throwing this week to allow Thomas to get into the postseason. Why would they do this? Well, maybe they figure they can match up with Thomas next week in the playoffs. Thomas, who might not have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Thomas, who doesn't have the greatest team overall. Maybe they're scared of Badake's team or scared of Bush's team. Maybe they're just doing it for content. They're just trying to rage bait Bush and Badake. Who knows? We'll see if they end up going through with this. If they do, there's no drama here. There's nothing to even talk about. If they bench their entire team, Thomas locks up the 6th and final spot in the Flock playoffs. You could say it's strategy by the devs. You could say it might bite them in the butt later on. Who knows? We'll have to see what happens there. If the devs actually go out there and field the starting lineup this week, well, then they probably end up beating Thomas. His lineup is banged up, and it's up to Bush to beat me. We'll see what the devs end up doing. It is really funny that they're just benching their entire team. Kind of shitty if they end up going through with it, but I don't care. My spot's secure at this point. So yeah, me versus Bush this week. I could care less if I win. He's playing for everything right now. I might have to make a deal with the devil, which in this league is the devs.
Then Zero Dark Avery versus Badake. Badake's in that same setup. If Badake wins, Thomas loses, and Badake scores a few more points than Thomas, then Badake could secure that last playoff spot. And keep in mind, Badake started off this season at 0-6, so that would be the true Cinderella story.
All right, well, it's week 14, and I just learned that the 3 seed in the playoffs picks their matchup, which I think is so freaking dumb. So evidently, Sammy, if he wins, is just going to pick who he plays, and the devs and I are going to play each other no matter what. So that's probably what's going to happen. The probably two of the best 3 teams are going to play in round 1 because of this stupid rule. Whatever. I don't care. But there is a world where I get the 3 seed, evidently. I think Sammy would have to lose to Nick. I would have to beat Badake, and the devs would have to lose to Thomas. Nick, my bald friend, if you could please, you and Bald Bauer somehow beat the fan. That would be fantastic. And then I just have to win against Badake. Let's hope I win, I guess. I don't know.
Alrighty, waiver wire just ran in the Flock League. We had some exciting guys this week. Jordan Mason was dropped by Sammy Stacks a week or 2 ago, and Danny Ladd picks him up for $25, outbidding Sal Vetri, who I played this week, so I'm thankful for that. Adonai Mitchell also goes to Danny. He outbids Zach $13 to 10, so Danny's spending some of that fab that he has on some depth pieces. Kansas City Chiefs defense goes to Nick the editor. Mason picks up the Bills defense. Zach goes after Devon Vele, who had a big game last week. Washington Commanders defense to Badake. Thomas picks up Kyle Pitts, outbidding myself and Avery on priority. I grab Darren Waller, dropping Cade Otton. Avery grabs the 49ers defense and drops Shamiri DK. Isaac Tesla grabbed by Sammy Stacks. Matt Prater, the Bills kicker, to Avery. Chicago Bears defense also to Avery, and Avery picking up Isaiah Pacheco. And then again today, we do see Sal pick up the running back he's going to start against me in place of Christian McCaffrey and Tyrone Tracy, who are on bye. He grabs Byshell Tootin off the waiver wire. Jordan Love goes to Nick the editor, who is probably going to start this week in place of Drake May. And then Nathan grabs the Jags defense and the Vikings defense as some pickups there.
Well, howdy gang, checking in back here with Team Zach. So as you guys may have heard, my team is currently dead, but that's not bad because the cool part about fantasy football is you get to meet new names. It's all about connection, right? So I went to the waiver wire, desperate, right? And I wanted to spend all of the money I have in my little piggy bank account to just go ahead and get another new name rotating into this family and friendship that we've grown on Team Zach this week. So I thought, you know what, Adonai Mitchell, I'm desperate. I need another new face here in this organization. We bid all of the money we have in our little piggy bank account, and we unfortunately got outbidded by Danny, who somehow has endless amounts of fab in this league. Danny has bid the most fab of anyone in this league by far. It's not even close, but that's just so cool because we missed out on Adonai Mitchell by 3 points. That's all we had is $10. You know what? We'll take whatever we have and we'll do what we can with it. Well, I'm going to be starting Devon Vele this week, which is so cool. A guy that might not have a job on a different team, he's got a job over here. So that's the latest check-in from us over here on Team Zach. Can't wait to see Devon Vele in the starting lineup.
All right, now I'm actually looking at like some of my potential opponents in the Final Four. I get to pick my matchup. I've been tracking these teams lately. I'll be honest with you. There's some very scary teams in this league now. None more scary than the Devs. The Devs have been putting up like 170 to 200 points per week the last couple of weeks. AJ Brown's been popping off lately. You get a Jahmyr Gibbs 50-point game. Even without JSN doing anything last week, they still scored like 170 points. They've been absolutely phenomenal. So that's a scary team. I'm very happy right now that in the Final Four, I could choose, if I don't want to not play that team. I look at some of the other teams that are in here. Avery has locked up a playoff spot. He has Amarion Hampton coming back from injury. He has Joe Burrow now back with Jamar Chase, and that looks amazing. An amazing team. Rashee Rice, arguably the best player in fantasy football at the wide receiver position, up there with JSN right now these past 6 weeks or so. An awesome team for Avery. Me and him played earlier this year. We both almost dropped 200 points. I'd be very concerned about having to play him in the Final Four, right? So these are teams that I would like to avoid, and thankfully I can avoid them if I can, right? I'm the #1 overall seed. I get to do that. But here's the thing. I'm looking at this, and assuming Mason this week doesn't get outscored by about 65 points from Sammy, win or lose, Mason is the 2 seed, and he's in the Final Four. And now I start to look at Mason's team on what potentially a matchup between me and him would look like in week 16. Knowing that the Devs have a good team, they'll probably get to the Final Four. Knowing that Avery has a good team with a good chance to get to the Final Four. And Mason this past week put up 90 points. He fielded a full team. I'm looking at that saying that's going to automatically get to the Final Four for me. That's just going to be sitting there, low-hanging fruit for a matchup, a win to get to the championship. And I start to look at this team even more now for Mason, and I'm really starting to wonder, like, what am I supposed to be scared of on Mason's team? Josh Allen, of course. And then I think it stops from there. I mean, it's a quality team. There's a reason why he's going to get to the fantasy postseason in the Flock League. But compared to the Devs on what they're doing right now, putting up 200 points a week, Avery's team has the ceiling of 150 to 200 points every single week. I'm not even sure if Mason's hit 150 points this year. And now he's coming off of back-to-back losses. Couldn't even crack 100 in his last outing. I'll be very interested to see what happens in week 14 with these teams, because as it stands right now, it's a shoo-in that I'm facing Mason in week 16.
All right, I have one bad week, and Sal thinks he can come at the king. Buddy, I have still won the most games in this league's history. Buddy, you have no playoff experience. You've never played a single playoff game. And you think you can take shots at me because I have one bad week? I dare you to take a step at the king in the playoffs. See what happens, buddy. Just see what happens. I think a lot about this league, right? It's honestly kind of the only thing I got going in life. Now, I was randomly thinking about a comment that was made in week 7. And let me take you back to week 7. Let's go through and let's look at the overall league landscape. Of course, I'm the king of the league, to nobody's surprise. We all know that. But Danny was up there. Danny was 4-2. Danny started off strong. And we all remember Badake here. You can see this matchup preview. He beat me this week, and he ended up getting his first win. But Badake was 0-6 when we were in week 7. And then what happened? What caused Danny to go on a spiral and lose 7 games in a row and fall from 4-2 to 4-9? What was the spark Badake needed to go from 0-6 to what, 6-7? He's won 6 of his last 7 games. I think I just found it.
I don't think we should be focusing on the 21.5 points. I think the line that we gotta focus on for you, Badake, is over under 1.5 wins. I gotta take Mason, unfortunately.
Danny came out here, tempted the fantasy gods, tried to dance on the grave of Daniel Cuckoo Badake, the Cinderella story. And ever since then, Danny's team has been cursed. Badake has been white hot. And Danny, if you want to make sure you don't end up at the Denny's next year, I think you owe Badake an apology. Well, the FSC guys have officially banned the Devs from this league. I have no idea how these commissioners think that they can abuse their power. Like, it's a literal joke. It's 2 p.m. on Thursday, and the Devs are pretending like they're going to start Brian Robinson over Jahmyr Gibbs. Then God knows what's going on with the FSC guys in real life. Bush is over here crying, texting me. Danny crashes out in the chat. Nick, please show these chats. Oh my God. And Danny removes the Devs from the league. Brother, that's not your call. You can't do that. They are allowed to make a joke 5 hours before kickoff before you lose your mind. What are we doing here? This is how concerned Corey is. The devs, who have nothing to play for, the devs have already clinched their playoff spot and they frankly can't get a bye. So what are they doing? What any team would do. They're thinking about the fantasy playoffs. And yeah, that means maybe if they want to keep the Patriots defense, who's the 6th defense on the season in points scored, that means they're starting them on bye. Is that collusion? I don't think so. But it's enough for the FSC guys to go through and ban the devs, manually remove them one by one from this league, and threaten to not give them it back unless they pick up and play a defense. What? How could y'all do this? You're lighting this league on fire over a defense? The devs clearly know how to run a team. The devs, they made the playoffs last year. The devs are making the playoffs this year. FSC has never made the playoffs in this league. Y'all are 0 for 4. Y'all lost the league last year. And you're telling the devs how to run their team? Oh my gosh, add them back to the league. What is going on?
Okay, so Mason was wrong about like literally every single detail in his clip. So I have to honestly just, Mason, he's wearing a turkey hat. Like, are we actually taking this guy seriously right now? So Mason goes, FSC guys kick the devs out of the league. First of all, it was Danny. I didn't do anything. Danny's went on a little tirade in an episode and kicked them all out of the league. This is what happened. I go in the chat, JSN, Gibbs, Kelsey, AJ Brown, not a defense. Not once did I mention the defense. All of the devs' best players were on their bench. In their place were players on bye. Joe goes in the chat and he says, congrats on your win this week, Thomas. I know Joe is trolling me. I've met Joe in person. I know exactly what he's doing. So I make some jokes back and forth. Oh, I'm a dictator. I'll take over your lineup and set it for you. And I'm like 99% joking, but 1% serious in the case that he actually tried to throw the matchup. I would 100% set his lineup for him because you do not bench Jameer Gibbs, JSN, and all those players. I then pose the question in the chat and I go, well, I heard Joe say earlier this week that he's not going to roster a defense because they want to use the Patriots defense. I'm like, is that allowed? I literally posed the question. Me and Sammy went back and forth on it. Badake goes back and forth on it. I basically came to the conclusion. I'm like, if they really want to do that, they can maybe argue I don't want to drop Trey Tucker or Hunter Henry who's on bye. Personally, they're playing for something. If they win and Sammy loses, then they get the 3 seed. I don't know about you, but I would rather play me, Badake, or Thomas, whoever gets the 6 seed, than Avery. So I actually think they should be trying to play for something this week, even though Mason in his clip said that they're playing for nothing. Mason, you know what the they're talking about. They are playing for something if they get the 3 seed. For me, I look at this whole situation as funny because Joe is trolling. I understand he's trolling. I literally said, great troll job, Joe, in the chat. I literally said, what a great troll job by Joe here. And then Danny comes in, not knowing any context of what's happening. And he goes, no, Joe, are you dead serious, bro? And he just starts literally egging him on. Joe, of course, continues trolling. And then Danny kicks Joe out of the league and the rest of the devs with him. And now I'm getting roped in. The FSC guys kicked him out. I didn't do shit, dude. I didn't do anything but laugh during that entire interaction.
So a lot of stuff's happening in the league right now, the league chat. I mean, I just opened up my laptop to 100+ messages. I'm trying to read them all and like catch up on what's going on. It seems like the devs are not starting anybody in their lineup. At first, it looked like a joke. Now they're like doubling down that they're serious, that they're not going to start anybody this week. Obviously, Badake and Bush are going to be upset about this. Now, I don't agree with doing that. I literally picked up Shao Tootin this week, who I don't need, just to field a full lineup. So I wouldn't bench my entire team. But at the exact same time, I will say, if the devs truly believe, which they're claiming, that by losing and letting Thomas in the postseason, they think they're letting a worse team in, that they're more scared of Badake and Bush's team, and if they had to face Thomas, whether it's the second round or potentially in the championship game, and they feel better about that because they beat him by 100 earlier this year and his Amon-Ra St. Brown is currently banged up, all this, right? I mean, you have to say that that's part of the strategy of fantasy, but I think they're within their reason to do it if there's a strategic reason why, and they're giving that.
Well, hey there, gang. I just woke up here in the beautiful Sydney, Australia, and went to the sleeper chat, and I'll be honest, I didn't have the time to read everything that was happening, but it was a blessing to wake up to something. You know what I mean, guys? Like, it's a blessing to wake up and see that you're a part of something that's active and that's happening. But I did watch Mason's clips to understand what was going on, and I gotta be honest with you, gang, if I'm just gonna keep it 100 with you guys, because I really respect everyone here, I don't think we're taking it far enough. In my opinion, Devgate has gone too far. All right, it's gone too far to the point where I believe we need to remove every player from every team. I believe we need to remove every record from every team, put them all into a pool, and then start fresh. I think that is the only way to move forward with integrity. But let me know what you guys think, gang, and hopefully you have a fantastic day.
So, what am I? What is this? Well, this is basically a personification of the dev team. Who's talking? No one knows. Just one of the members of the dev team. Why a turtle? Well, it was the only free VTuber thing without me spending about 3 days trying to figure out how this stuff works. And that floating girl over there, I can't get rid of that. I tried, and unless I pay $35, she just has to stay. So we're gonna have to make do with that. Now, I've been reading the comments, and a lot of people are saying, oh, dev team, how come you don't make videos? Oh, we should kick out the dev team. Dev team never makes any videos. And to that, I say, have you ever called tech support? And at the end of the tech support said, man, I wish I knew that guy in person so I could hang out with him. No, none of you have said that. We don't belong in videos. We belong behind the scenes, underground, in the dark, on our laptops, where no one can see us, and we just built the site. But because of everything that happened today, and because all the comments, here we are making videos to please the people. Merry Christmas.
All right, I just got through all those messages. Before I submitted my thoughts on the whole devs not starting anybody, I did not finish the hundreds of messages and did not get to the point where Danny absolutely crashes out and removes all the devs, changes the devs lineup for them with commissioner powers, which I didn't even know was a thing. Look, I got a taste of it last night from Danny. I tried to I guess I didn't warn the league, but I put it out there. The league all saw that Danny, those eyes were like, he's gonna harm somebody or himself if this continues. And the devs just went full throttle at him and he crashed out. Now, here's the thing. This was like 5 hours before this Cowboys-Lions game even begins. I am terrified for the entire stadium in the city of Detroit. If the Cowboys lose this game tonight, Danny is over the edge. I have never seen somebody crash out so hard in a 24-hour period in a fantasy football league. But he's done it. And I mean, yesterday I said I was going to root for the Lions to be a troll. I'm actually genuinely concerned for Danny and all those around him. I'm going to be rooting for Dak Prescott very heavily tonight in the Dallas Cowboys.
And Sal is 100% right. If we wanted to go by the strategy, of course we want Thomas to beat us. Thomas' team is on the down. He has people hurt. Badake's team is doing really well. Bush has already beat us. That being said, we did have some people out, but props to him. But we would love for Thomas to beat us. But were we actually going to throw? No. We were just having a little bit of fun with Bush until Karen, aka Danny, came into the chat and decided, you know what, I'm in a bad mood. Let me just start throwing my weight around.
Is that talking turtle freaking anybody else out? The AI takeover, man. These clankers, they're everywhere, and I don't know what's a scam, what's not. There's a turtle talking to me in the Discord. What are we gonna do, man?
So I get back in our league, and evidently the devs were, some say trolling, some say not. And the FSE boys, namely Corey, kicked these guys out. And Corey says, oh, I had nothing to do with it. Corey, you are associated with Danny. You had everything to do with it. But who put these communist Canadians in charge of our league? People from Canada cannot be trusted for political power in America. This is an American league, and we voted these frickers to be in charge of our league. And they're so desperate to make one playoff appearance. Corey is so desperate to make a playoffs. He uses his commissioner powers to edit a lineup. Unbelievable. Who put these clowns in charge? That's what I want to know. I said at the beginning of the year, I'm like, hey, we're making Corey commissioner again. And I was kind of like, look what happened. Corey, you made Danny co-commissioner, brother. This one's on you. You gave your car keys to a 5-year-old. But somebody needs to stop the FSE boys. This is crazy. I'm outraged. Who put the communists in charge? Just a teensy little update for you. All this is going down, and we got Joe submitting clips for the first time. We're actually hearing from Joe, which is great. And Danny has left the Discord. You cannot tag this guy. He left our creator Discord. He's gone.
Puka. Danny's crashing out. He just left the Flock League chat. We don't know if he'll be back. Puka. Where did Danny go?
I just want y'all to remember, in the midst of the FSE overthrow of the Flock League, they did have 2 teams in the top 6 of the midseason power rankings. Don't forget it. They had 2 teams in the midseason top 6.
Puka, puka, doopity doop. Danny is gone now. What do we do?
So apparently there's some drama in my matchup. The devs decided to keep the Patriots defense on bye in their lineup, but apparently it's too far if they sit their good players. Now this directly affects my matchup, so I'm kind of hoping that they just play bad players and sit their good ones. I will say it's not collusion because I am not in on it. It may be unfun and unfair, but if the devs legitimately think that my team is so bad that they would rather have me in the playoffs than anybody else, I guess it is sort of strategy to let me in. But my team's great. I'm going to win anyway. What are you guys talking about? You can play your players. My team's going to win.
I would like to take this moment to formally announce that I am going to call for a vote of no confidence for Chancellor Valorn. For Bush and Danny. And I will be putting my name in to replace them as commissioner. Commissioner Palpatine. Commissioner Avery. That's what I wanted to take this moment to announce, and we're gonna try to garner some support from the league mates.
I'm taking this from a little bit of a different approach. All I see is a bunch of white men ganging up on the other colored-ish person in the league, and I think I have to stand up for him. Danny, I'm on your side. Don't let these white people talk to you that way. You stand up and you put your foot down. We've been oppressed for too long. Okay? Bring Danny back. He's my commissioner.
Well, thank you for the question. And what would we do in our first 100 days as commissioner of the Flock League? The first thing we would do is we would build a wall of trust between myself and the rest of the league. Building trust is a very important thing to us. Second, we're going to lower the prices of free agents in this league. Bashal Tootin for $97? That's outrageous. Flock League players can't afford their free agents anymore. We're going to make free agents more affordable. And third, we're going to deport all collusion in this league. No more collusion in this league. No more crashing out. No more kicking people out because you don't like them. No, we're going to deport all that collusion out of the Flock League. Thank you. God bless you, and God bless the Flock League.
Well, howdy, gang. So, I've been notified about a potential overthrow of Commissioner Powers in this league, and gosh darn it, I gotta be honest with y'all, I'm all for an overthrow of a government, but I will have to admit, I'm having the best time of my life this week in the Flock League. This is maybe the 1 week I've enjoyed this entire year, so gosh darn it, scootin' tootin', I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm Team Danny Commissioner. I'd actually like to remove Bush.
Get up, Grayson, baby! Flock League, yeah! Automatic, baby. Automatic! Gibbs just scored a touchdown. Look at 88 go, baby! Let's go, Cenarian!
It just goes from bad to worse for Danny Ladd. CeeDee Lamb now being taken out of the game. It doesn't look good. And at the same time, Danny is there in person. Now, all I can say is pour one out to the people that are sitting in the same section as Danny. Can you imagine being one row in front of Danny Ladd for this game? Oh my gosh, that would be hell.